What's up?
Brewskis? My name is Marco Dupla. With me, as always, the great and powerful Adam Obesius Rodriguez.
What's up, y'all?
Tonight's brew is from Sullivan's. It is a Maltings Irish Red. St. Paddy's Day was last week, and could have done a Guinness or any number of stouts. Or
We have before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought it'd be fun to do an Irish Red. And so I grabbed this.
Okay. Late as we often are.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Well, it was either that or something so nondescript and random as to have nothing to do with anything.
Sure. Okay.
So
I dig
went
it.
with this.
Let's do it.
Couldn't find Orval. I was trying to find something for Orval because this Saturday is Orval Day, but not Total Wine, ABC doesn't carry it. So,
Bummer.
yeah, that sucks. Sucks for them because apparently they're cutting down on their. You know what? Let's talk about this later.
Okay.
What's on tap for tonight? I will continue with that thought and superhero movies.
Yeah.
Everybody seems to be tired of them. You could say it's superhero movie fatigue.
Yeah.
So we're gonna just talk about that a little bit.
Okay, let's do it.
See what's going on with that. And then what else?
Continuing the superhero conversation, we also have some behind-the-scenes drama, apparently, for Shazam.
Shazam.
So we'll be talking a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, and then whatever else, whatever little nook and cranny we find
Bit of a
ourselves.
slow week.
Yeah. So we thought this would be fun.
Yeah.
All that and more. Ready? Set. This is episode 387?
6.
Really?
I think so. Yes. Chizzard was last week.
Chizzard, so stupid. Of the One Beer In podcast.
Yeah.
Lost to be found by someone to save you when you're down. Yes, I'm bored when it's bright out. So bored when it's bright out. 4 to 5 a.m. takes me to a place where I fit in.
Cheers it.
All right. This is the One Beer In podcast, the podcast where two brews crack open a brew, and we see where that one brew takes us. Adam, you got a little bit more about what we're drinking tonight?
I sure do. This is the Sullivan's Brewing Company Maltings Irish Ale. Batch brewed and hand-packed in Ireland. Brewing is in our blood. This does have a cold read. Maltings Irish Ale. Enjoy the canned version of our Maltings Irish Ale. Our classic ruby ale with deep malt combining rich biscuit and gentle caramel notes. Visual, rich ruby color with good foam. Aroma, malt and fruit taste balance of blended malt with hop bitterness. Good body with a dry finish. This comes in at a 5% ABV.
Right on. Right on. So there you go. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Nice
Look at
color on it.
Ruby.
That ruby red.
Ruby.
Ruby rod.
Yummy.
All right, let's get right into it. What was the last superhero movie you even saw?
That's tough.
It was the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, I think it was, actually. I'm trying to think if I caught up on... Oh, no. Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, I was just about to say it was definitely Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, Wakanda Forever. In theaters, Multiverse of Madness. Yeah.
So, in the last couple of months, there's been a string of superhero movies to come out that have kind of been duds. And some people are saying that this may be the coming of a new era, the dawning of a new age. People are kind of getting tired of superhero movies, and they are voting with their wallet, as they say.
Yeah.
So there was Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania.
Mm-hmm.
And that movie didn't do so hot, critically or... Well, I mean, those kind of movies are always going to do, like, 200 or 300 million at the box office.
I was going to bring that up. It's like, within comparison to other superhero movies that have come out before.
Yeah, I mean, the box office is relative to other superhero movies because for some reason people will they'll just go. And
they're always huge overseas too because they're big, spectacles, which are huge.
They're big overseas movies.
Yeah.
So Quantumania, I guess we could pull up the numbers for each of these movies, but there was Quantumania, then there was something in between Quantumania and Shazam, wasn't there? Or was it? I want to say there was 3 movies.
Specifically in the MCU?
No, it was Black Adam, the superhero movies.
Right.
So there was Quantumania, Black Adam, then Shazam. These
Right.
3 movies have come out in the past couple of months, and all 3 of them have been panned at the box. Oh no, I'm sorry, it was Black Adam first, then Quantumania, then Shazam.
Mm-hmm. Black Adam was October 21st, 2022.
Yeah. Silly of me.
Yeah.
Silly of me.
Yeah.
And then, so basically all 3 of these movies have done very, poorly critically. They've done the numbers, domestically and abroad, and their fan numbers, I guess the fan voting has been good for some of these movies, I guess. That's the kind of... That's how you know you've got yourself a bad movie, is when
the fans love it.
Yeah, when everybody involved is like, yeah, but the fans loved it, and it's like, yeah, all right. Some movies. Listen, when it comes to critics, sometimes they get it wrong. We all know this.
Oh yeah, of
right?
course.
And so I wouldn't put so much stock, especially nowadays. I wouldn't put too much stock into the critical reception. Especially if, and I guess this is just a lesson for everybody, if you enjoy the movie, you enjoyed the movie. You don't need me or Adam or A.O. Scott or Peter Traver to tell you that you enjoyed the movie, okay? You enjoyed it.
Sure.
But also, if there's enough of them saying...
I mean, it's not nothing, right?
It's not nothing.
We've had this conversation before about the value of critics in anything, video games, movies, music, et cetera.
Yeah.
It's not everything, but it's also not nothing. Like, these people generally know what they're talking about.
What is always really interesting when something that you don't like gets a bad score and you go, see, told you.
Yeah.
And then
right.
something that you do like gets a bad score and you're like, they don't know shit.
Yeah. They have no idea what they're talking about.
A really good example of this is IGN just gave John Wick 4 a 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't see anybody complaining about IGN when they give a movie like...
Of course not. Of course not.
Man, oh man, if they would have given John Wick like a 7.5 or an 8, which it probably is.
Typical IGN.
Yeah. I can't wait to see that movie though, just to see is it really the best in the 4th movie being the best in the series?
Listen, I'm trying to temper my expectations, but they are not the only ones to say it is a standout, great action movie.
That's amazing.
I am excited.
Yeah.
It's gotten me more excited, even more excited than I was, because of course I'm excited to see John Wick 4.
Yeah.
But 3 was okay.
Yeah.
I feel like 2 is better than 3, and
2 is better than 3, I think.
Yeah.
1 is still the best.
1 is still the best. But if 4 can be a close number 2, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I mean...
A number 4 that's up there with the original?
Yeah.
I mean...
That's crazy.
I'm excited.
I'm
excited.
You gotta love that they're still putting as much love and heart into these movies.
Sure.
4 movies in, when they could be phoning it in.
Right.
They're still doing... They're trying to make the best action movie that they can make.
Well, and we'll see once we actually watch it, but maybe this is a good example of what the Marvel movies especially aren't doing very well right now, which is expanding their world and making it coherent and still interesting.
Yeah.
And not just making it a cluttered mess.
Well, I guess that's the thing is I'm trying to really wrap my head around what they can do to improve the MCU, the DC universe is they've already said, and we've talked about what James Gunn wants to do with it. So I'm not even going to talk about like the consequences of Shazam not doing well or Black Adam not doing well, because they're not even really in their long-term plans.
Sure.
So who gives a shit when it comes to DC's overall reputation? It doesn't really matter. I mean, as far as superhero movies are concerned, it is interesting to see people turn on these movies. I mean, film Twitter is just ripe with opinions.
Yeah, that's
I
something
just
that's
stopped right there.
Yeah, it's ripe.
Opinions, good and bad, about superhero movies. I mean, there's this whole, obviously, a contingency of people, mostly Snyder fans, who are very vocal about this. Have you seen this thing with James Gunn and his wife?
Yeah. I did see that tweet.
We could take a little detour there.
Okay.
This person was like, he was talking about something else, and they just were like, I think maybe it was a picture of him.
It was on the red carpet for Shazam 2.
Yeah.
And it was him and his wife.
Yeah.
And, or I think they were like in a limo or something on the way.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
They were in a limo, and they were, having a good time, and then somebody had to be like, I see you having a good time there. I need to ruin that real quick. Yeah. And he comments and says, just stop casting your wife and stuff.
In everything, every DC movie.
And he says, I only casted her in one thing. Everything else I had no part in.
Yeah.
And that started this whole discourse around him and around like nepotism and, directors being in their own movies and all kinds of stuff. And it was just, I don't know, man, it was just really interesting, because a lot of people were like saying the obvious, which is like, you don't say this to any other director that does this. It's just when fans, especially superhero movie fans, comic book fans, they get online and first of all, they think they could just say whatever the hell they want to people, and it's I think they're like, they got to be some of the most disrespectful people on the planet. Yeah. And they come at these people with like without an ounce of evidence. They're just their own assumptions, and they're just like, this
feels right.
Yeah. Like the same thing with the guy David Sandberg, I guess. David F. Somethingberg.
Yeah, I think you got that right.
The director of Shazam 2.
David F. Sandberg, yeah.
David F. Sandberg. He also has been very vocal on his Twitter about how the reception to his movies, good and bad, has been exhausting for him. As a director, he's like, I love the fans. I love people who appreciate these movies, and I want to continue to entertain people, but the discourse is exhausting.
Yeah.
People and to his point, he types out this long fucking Twitter thread, and then almost immediately there is a subreddit dedicated to David F. Sandberg calls out fans or calls, says is shitty to the fans or something like that. And then he reposted that and was like, see, I this was in like within minutes of me posting this thread, and there's already a subreddit. And to the subreddit's credit. The moderators of that, I sound like such a fucking nerd. The moderators of the subreddit, the
You got
moderators,
permabanned.
They took down the thread because they were like, "You're right. This was a gross mischaracterization of what you said, and we apologize." But that's how quickly these things happen.
Yeah. I mean, that reminded me recently. The director of Happy Death Day and Freaky, Christopher. What's his name? Christopher Landon. I follow him on Twitter because I'm a big fan of those movies. He recently came out with a project on Netflix called We Have a Ghost that apparently didn't do very well. And
this is my first time hearing about it, so
yeah, exactly. So people were letting him know how much they hated it.
Sick.
And so I think he kind of had enough and essentially tweeted the same thing. Like, if you ever feel like you need to communicate to any creator how much you hate their project, maybe think about it before you do that for a second.
Yeah.
Because if you're not, like, if you're just doing it out of hatred for the thing alone, like, that's not helpful to anyone.
No.
Like, we're, again, the typical thing of we're people too, like, we see this stuff. So maybe stop. Don't do that.
There's never ever a reason to tell somebody how shitty you think their thing is without any kind of constructive criticism or any kind of like helpful.
And
like,
even then, there are times where it's like, I didn't ask you.
oh yeah, no,
You
for
know,
sure,
like,
yeah.
Of course, you are the consumer of the thing. If I were to have made a movie and you paid a ticket for it, I personally feel like you have a right to tell me what you think of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take that. But
You don't
you
need
know,
to be
you don't
shitty
you don't
about it.
have to be. Yeah, you don't got to be mean.
Yeah.
You
It's
can
just-
you can do that in a constructive way that is polite while also saying, didn't like this very
Yeah.
much.
But some people, a lot of people, most people, don't think about that when they're online.
Sure.
I know I've definitely said some shitty stuff. I've never added anybody and was like, hey, you, this is what I think of your movie. I mean,
Yeah.
I've obviously shared my shitty opinions online, but I've never been like, at Chris Brown, I think you're a bad person,
Right.
even though I do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you would instantly get swarmed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't put his name in the hashtags.
No.
I don't want to
No.
deal with that.
No. Ain't gonna do that.
But you have a right to say how you feel, but you don't have. No one has a right to just be shitty to somebody for no reason. And David F. Sandberg has talked a lot about how, that happens to him, and I'm sure every other director who directs these movies and has to deal with, people not loving your adaptation of something that they, grew up with or
Sure.
really love.
I was gonna say, especially in such like a incubation chamber that is superhero movies.
Yeah.
It's such a, I mean, it used to be such a small thing,
Yeah.
a subsect of humanity that is now exploded.
It is. It's really actually kind of fascinating to think about and to observe
Yeah.
how niche comic books in general, just the entire culture of comic books and like nerd culture as
Yeah.
a whole used to be.
Yeah.
It was just such a small little weirdo community.
Mhm.
And it was just, it's crazy to think about, man. It's just crazy. To
Well, now that's sort of broken off into its own subsects within itself. You
Right.
know, it's like, oh, what kind of comics are you into?
Yeah.
Are you a comic book reader or are you strictly a movie
comic book
person?
eater.
Are you a comic book eater? You may want to see somebody about that. You're going to be on Maury.
Do you have a problem?
But yeah, I mean, it has gotten so much even deeper into the minutia of like what this thing can be, and I think that drives people to be even more, we'll call it, passionate, but that can also lead to hatred, and fanatical about the thing they like so much.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the passion that people have for these kinds of movies, and it does drive creativity forward in positive instances, but mostly it's just kind of like put a lot of people on their back foot and have to react now, as opposed to create things because they enjoy them, or create unique things. Like the Multiverse of Madness, I think, is a good example of like all of these people. They want these movies to be different. They want them to stand out. They want creativity. And then when Raimi does something that you and I both agreed was like a really good left turn out of the universe while still playing within this playground, but being like the weirdo on the jungle gyms, going like, this is a funny way to
eating their comic books.
eating their comic books,
Yeah.
hanging upside down and eating comic books, and all these people were like, no, that's not how to do it. And it was like, the movie was great. I don't. What do you guys want? So that's, I guess, where we land on this, or where I land on this, is it's hard to. I don't know what people want with these movies. I guess, I mean, that's a loaded statement.
Yeah.
Because there's so much that people.
Yeah.
But I guess, where does the consensus think that these movies should go? 'Cause a lot of people think that they should just stop them.
Sure. Well, yeah. No, I found this article on Slash Film by Jenna Bush.
Jenna Bush?
The Jenna Bush entitled "It's Time for Superhero Movies to Take a Nice Long Break for Their Own Good." And yeah, I mean, she has a ton of really good points that I mostly agree with. You know, including there's too much behind the scenes stuff to do with it.
Yeah. We just spent 20 minutes on the behind the scenes.
Right.
Shit.
Too much CGI, so that's been a big issue recently of like Marvel struggling to get these projects even finished, let alone look good on top of it. So that's a big one. So there's a lot of homework that you have to do for all these movies too. So having to like to go back and we talked about this before too about how it's a pro and con, the MCU, the further it goes along, because it's like, okay, this is like reading a novel series that you need to keep up with every book.
Yeah.
If you miss something, you're gonna be missing pieces. Too much multiverse. We're getting now into this multiverse explosion, including in DC.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, so her complaint here, which is, I think, probably my biggest complaint of all these movies, is that the plot ends up being more so about what you need to know for the next movie, and not about the movie itself.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Or at least so much of it is taken up by setups for something else.
Yeah.
When it should just be a self-contained thing.
Yeah. That's a really good one, because when you think about the first 2 or 3 phases of Marvel, they had an end goal in mind, an end game, if you will. And it all worked because they had that goal in mind, right? But each one of their movies was like standalone adventures, and then there was but you could see the machinations in the background. And then once they all kind of came to fruition with Infinity War and Endgame, I mean, it was just like such a perfect like crescendo of all of these things.
Yeah.
And they just haven't been able to top it since.
Yeah. I mean, it's really annoying that it feels like they let the genie out of the bottle with the Avengers movies, where it's like, well, we have to have all these team ups now. Like, there's no way to do just, you know, a story with these characters, like an individual character on their own.
Yeah.
Which makes me worried for something like Blade. You know, like, just make it about Blade.
Yeah.
Just make a Blade movie. If you want to do like a post-credit scene in the great heritage of Blade movies that always had something like that, then do that and add something to that hints towards some kind of crossover or whatnot.
Yeah.
But make the movie about the character.
Yeah, I mean, Blade needs all of the help it can get, just making sense within the world that they've built.
Sure.
When you watch the original trilogy, it's a world unto itself, so it's fine. You can you buy that immediately because it's a world with vampires. That's fine. But having to fit that in this world where we've already seen, I mean, what, a decade and a half of these movies, we know what the world is.
Right.
There has been not one mention of
vampires
or even the supernatural. I mean, I guess there's magic now.
Sure, yeah, there's magic.
But there's not.
There was a zombie.
Ghouls and there was a zombie,
Yeah.
but that was a zombie through the magic of, you know, this sorcerer, not just undead.
There are witches. We have witches.
We do have witches now. We do have witches.
They fly now.
They fly now. They fly now. We have one witch, right?
2.
And I guess there's a brood of witches from years past.
Yeah.
We have 2 witches, right?
At least.
But for the most part, we've got no real mention of like the supernatural.
Truly supernatural. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Because even Scarlet Witch, she's a witch, but she got her powers through the stone. In this universe, right?
Yeah.
That's how she got her powers. She
Yeah.
was exposed to the Soul Stone or the Power Stone. And I can't remember which one it is.
Power Stone.
But so that's not really. She wasn't like
They explain it away as not being like
magic,
spiritual.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not otherworldly.
Right.
It was something within this universe that gave her those powers.
Well, that's true for anything that is supernatural in this universe, right? All the MCU stuff has been because of a stone.
Yeah,
or
everything's been
alien
explained
technology.
by, exactly.
Yeah.
Nothing's just been born onto this world of like.
Yeah,
This
there
person just
are
can
ghouls.
control yeah, there's no ghouls, goblins.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we haven't even really. I mean, I guess technically we haven't really gotten a mutant yet, right? Like
Technically, Namor is a mutant. They confirmed that.
Sure, but like
But not really. We haven't gotten the mutant.
they've called him a mutant,
Yeah.
but like
not like
not like an X-Men
not in the
mutant.
X-Men way. Yeah,
Right.
It's not. Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah. So it's gonna be tough.
it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough.
But then that's what's really exciting about this next phase is it seems to be that in the next couple of years they're going to kind of introduce some more like well-known characters. So we'll get the X-Men, we'll get Fantastic Four, we'll get Blade and stuff like that. And I think that even though there is like a lot of superhero fatigue, especially MCU fatigue, because Marvel is this juggernaut.
Sure.
I think that they still got some fighting.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But
We'll
right
see.
now, it's still I don't know. I get it though. I get it. It's tough to see, man.
If you would have told me that this is how I feel about like the latest MCU properties in 2019, I wouldn't have believed you.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Would have been I mean, okay. So Shazam 2: Fury of the Gods has been plagued by bad reviews and a lot of like background drama of this movie too.
Yeah.
A lot of shit with Zachary Levi. Apparently,
Yeah.
not the
Oy.
coolest dude on the planet. This is what we're finding out.
Yeah.
Or Levi, is it Levi or Levi? I think it's Zachary Levi.
I always say Levy when I see the name, but
Okay.
it's Levi. It is Levi. I'm thinking of how people say it on like TV shows and stuff.
Yeah.
Levi. Zachary Levi, yes. But I'm used to Levy. Yeah.
It should be Levi.
The guy with the eyebrows, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He spells it with a Y though.
Oh, maybe that's the difference.
Yeah.
If you're a Levy or Levi, please let us know.
Yeah. So Zach, we'll just call him Zach.
Yeah.
Little Zachy boy.
Zachy
Not
L.
the coolest dude, apparently. So that was kind of what kicked off some of the shadiness around the movie.
Sure, there was a drama about something he posted on Instagram. Was
Yeah.
it?
He's definitely like an anti-vaccine guy.
It was something that alluded to vaccines being bad.
Yeah, he's like a face diapers kind of dude.
Yeah, well, some people were saying, mind you, he hasn't elaborated on this from what I know. I think they told him, hey, shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up.
It was posted on Instagram. Some executive just grabbed him by the throat and was like, "You fuck this up for us."
Yeah, so he hasn't elaborated from what I've seen, but people have interpreted what he said because it was something along the lines of like, the pharmaceutical companies are evil or something.
Well, he's not wrong about that.
Right, and that's how people were kind of, explaining it away to say that it's not that he's anti-vax, it's just that, he thinks that the pharmaceutical companies are trying to make bank and, they're helping to do that by continuing the vaccine push and et cetera, et cetera. So
Yeah, the language gets a little hairy.
yeah, I just wanted to give that side of the story because I know some people are probably saying that's not what he said.
No, that's fine.
But,
hey, listen,
yeah.
I'm not casting judgment on this dude because I've not done enough research to have a feeling one way or the other. I just saw something in passing, and I know that has contributed to some of the bad press that this movie has gotten.
Correct.
So
It started it with controversy.
yeah.
Which had been brewing before based on some behind the scenes things that were happening since the first Shazam, apparently.
Yes,
Since even before Black Adam.
yeah. And then we get Black Adam, and we get all of this controversy with The Rock, who apparently, I guess we've talked about The Rock's like pseudo coup of DC. Which didn't work. It was a failed coup, and now we're seeing the ripple effect, the ramifications, the repercussions of his
reverberations.
Reverberations, I think, is better, of his failed takeover of DC, because he was just so God damn, if you see some of his old posts and some of his old videos about it, he's like, the hierarchy of power at DC is about to change. And you're like, what are you going to do there, man? What are you about to do?
Are you going to punch Zach?
I'm kind of scared for the people who work there. And so first you get all of these things where he's vetoing these ideas. He doesn't. It's been well known, and I don't know if this is 100% true, but people have talked about it as if it is true, and it has become the stuff of legend that in his contract he cannot lose a fight. Right? This is a well-known internet thing.
Sure.
No one's read his contract, so I don't know if it's true.
Yeah.
But everyone speaks of it as if it's true. So if it is true, that's really interesting. Whenever he's in action movies, like, he can't lose a fight. So how do you write around that?
Sure.
How do you write a villain who is supposed to lose at some point that he can't lose the fight? It's like in wrestling where he can never lose clean. There has to be some kind of outside interference.
Right. Or be the bad guy. That was a recent tweet that I saw.
That he can't be the bad guy.
That he can't be the bad guy in a movie. And
that makes sense as to why Black Adam is what it is.
Right. Which I think was exactly what they were getting at. They put in comparison, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't sure if he should be looked at as the Terminator. Like, that's one of his first big movies ever. And he did it because, he thought it was good. And it ended up being great. And it was a launch pad. But it was because he took the chance on being looked at as the bad guy, or looked at as a character that he didn't necessarily want to be forever. I mean, he was that character forever. But, it led to greater things. Whereas The Rock, his career, of course, is astronomical. Like, he is a superstar. There's no questioning that. But as far as, like, credentials go as an actor, we look at even, like, Cena above him.
Oh, yeah.
And it's all because of choices like that.
Yeah.
Where they can be looked at as foolish in their roles. They can be beaten. They can be bloodied and bruised in their movies. They can be the bad guy in movies.
They can show vulnerability. That's really his cachet is bulletproof now.
Yeah.
And I think it's ruining everything that he's doing.
Well, it's boring.
Just
so boring.
Here's the thing, man. The Rock, he was already a megastar at this point, but he wasn't a superstar until he got into the Fast and the Furious universe. And what is his best role, really, is Fast 5.
Yeah.
In my opinion, his best performance as an actor is Fast 5. And for 3/4 of that movie, he's the villain.
Yeah.
He's not a corrupt cop, but he's like, we're rooting for the bad guys in the movie. So essentially that makes him the bad guy because he's the super good guy.
Sure.
And he's amazing at it. He's perfect for that role. He's a dickhead.
Yeah.
But he's still charismatic.
Yeah.
He's like no holds barred, like fucking chewing on barbed wire kind of guy. And you're just like, this guy fucking sucks, but he's awesome.
Yeah. You love to hate him.
Yeah. And it's his best role.
Yeah.
And it's just ironic that he took that and he was like, I'm never going to do that again.
Too close. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Close. And he's just been the opposite of that. Even in the movies, even in Fast 6 and 7, they make him a good guy. And he's like, now he basically just is The Rock after a while.
Yeah.
Shaves off the beard. It's just so boring. Like you said, it's just uninteresting.
They only give him shades of that when he's like, joshing with the guys.
Yeah. Some bitch.
Yeah.
We get a little some bitch every now and then.
Yeah,
You're like, you're not going to get it back. You're not going to get it back. So now we've got his decisions as Black Adam and what that did to the movie itself. Then we also get the fact that, like, he vetoed, apparently, Zachary Levi, damn it, his Shazam. He didn't want to cameo in his Black Adam movie.
Yeah. And it was specifically because he wanted a showdown between Black Adam and Superman, right?
And that's not even to say what happened with Henry Cavill and how The Rock is responsible for that stuff. So we won't even get it. That's a whole nother can of worms. But he wanted to have a showdown with Superman. He wanted to skip the entire... And all of this crap lets you know. It really does let you. We can't speak to The Rock's intentions or if he is actually a good or a bad dude. But what I can say is like this is pretty clear that he had no interest in telling a good story.
No.
All he wanted was to make his character and himself by proxy look big, larger than life. He wanted to have his own franchise. He wanted to have like a fucking trilogy of movies where he's the hero in these. It's like your character only exists as the foil to
Shazam.
So how can you it's idiotic to think if this is real that someone in a boardroom or some exec or some writer was like, Rocky, you know what would be really cool is if Zachary Levi, we got him in the other room, by the way, he's like right down the hall, if he cameoed in you know, because you're, and he's just like, what?
Who's that?
What's Shazam?
Yeah.
And who's Zachary Levi?
Yeah.
And why is he so close to me?
Yeah. Yeah. He smells like poor.
How many franchises has he done?
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough. I think we see some breaks in the armor of old Rocky. Mm-hmm. And it's frustrating to see as a fan, you know?
Yeah.
I want to see him succeed. I want to see him do bigger and better things, but
I don't want to see him being an asshole. It seems like he's a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
I'm fine with him being like a charming kind of douchey dude. That, you know, his character is always that.
Sure.
And that's what we fell in love with, but it seems like he's actually not a good dude. I shouldn't say that. That's a little harsh.
We
just
don't
seems
know.
like his ego has inflated to the point that he can't see past his own ambitions to tell a good story. Like after this movie, like what does he do next? Another Kevin Hart movie?
I don't know. Who knows? Who knows where his career goes from here? I mean, hopefully, I genuinely hope that the failings that he had recently have gotten him to a place where he realizes he needs to do something different.
But he hasn't, though. There's that interview with him on the red carpet at the Vanity Fair thing when they asked him straight up about the reception of the movie, and he's just like, you know, critics didn't like it, but the fan score was like in the 90s. That lets you know that all he's looking at is these numbers, these Rotten Tomatoes numbers, these box office numbers, and he's trying to spin them in a way
that won't hurt his feelings.
Yeah, and won't hurt his reputation.
Yeah. And ego.
Yeah. But his reputation has taken a hit, definitely. Yeah. When people talk about The Rock, it's not right now, it's not in very glowing terms.
Yeah.
And I think the issue is, when you kind of bring all this back, is you stepped into this world where the fan base is way different, right? Mm-hmm. You can do these one-off movies here. You can do bad action movies for the rest of your life. People are going to like you, The Rock, as a person.
Yeah.
But when you step into the shoes of a character that people love, that's a whole other thing, man.
Yeah.
You have to treat that thing with respect, or people will turn on you. These nerds will not let you live.
No.
And that's why when you see how Chadwick Boseman, how the respect that he had for Black Panther, or Robert Downey Jr. with the respect he had for Tony, or John Bernthal with the respect he has for the Punisher character.
Sure.
That's why these guys are so beloved. Not just their performance, is that they gave a shit about telling the right story.
Well, and it's not about their personal ego either. It's about making a good character and doing well to that character, you know? Right. And thus to the fans. You know, I think it says a lot if you're willing to bend the character to your own will for yourself, as opposed to bending yourself into that character to make it make sense and make it work.
Right.
So, yeah, I just...
Like you said, the pointy ears.
I know. Like you said, I think it's just the ego thing. I really think that's clouding a lot of his judgment and choices. And I hope he snaps out of it, because we're both big fans. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I mean, I think he has the ability to do better than what he's doing right now.
Yeah.
So.
The hell? What the hell?
I said quiet on the set.
Quiet on the set. It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
Yeah.
Have you seen that
It's
clip
great.
resurfaced?
I love that clip so much.
I mean, we saw that clip years ago when it
Yeah.
came out, but like just seeing it again is just
It's
really
nice. It's
really
refreshing,
funny.
right?
It is.
It
It
feels
is.
good.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
Talking about Tyrese's album,
Black
right?
Rose.
Black
It's called
Rose.
Black Rose. Just be called Black Piece of Dog,
Dog
shit.
shit.
He said as he's walking away, he's like, "I will never forgive that motherfucker." That's such a funny
For wasting his time.
I'll never forgive you for making me listen to this album and waste my time with this shit.
It's not even
God
old dog shit.
Damn.
It's new dog shit.
New dog shit. It's the biggest piece
Soft.
of dog shit. Soft.
Yeah.
Soft dog shit. Man, everyone's laughing, but it's the biggest piece of dog shit. God, that was so funny, man. God, it was so fucking mean, too.
Yeah, it was very mean. Very mean.
And that was right in the middle of like all that
Yeah.
all
the
that
drama.
real life beef.
Yeah, the drama.
It's just so funny that he was like, I don't give a fuck about Tyrese. I will say it by name. I'll say his album. I will dog it. I don't give a fuck.
On camera.
Yeah, what is
To the
Tyrese gonna
world.
do to me? Yeah, to the world, and then posted it online. Like, what are the consequences to me saying that Tyrese sucks? None.
Tyrese crying
That's it.
on camera.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, Tyrese. He should have just stuck to being an R&B singer, man.
Yeah.
You know.
Not according to The Rock.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true. It's the biggest piece of dog shit. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Sorry, Tyrese.
It's okay. He doesn't need it. It's okay. He's doing fine. I think he's okay now.
Yeah, he's probably doing.
Yeah. He's done a couple more Fast and Furious movies since then, so
It's all he's ever gonna do, and that's fine.
it pays the bills.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
That's why he got so emotional. He thought the ship was sinking.
Yeah, that's
But
what. It,
yeah,
he's
now
like,
that's not-
Please don't take this away from me.
Uncle Vinny's back, you know, it's fine.
And he just rides him, man. You should see his comment section. He's just such a.
Look, he knows where his bread's buttered.
That's right. That he does.
He's not a dumb man. He's not a dumb man.
I guess I posed the question to you. Are you exhausted by these movies?
Yeah. Yes, I am. Absolutely. Like I was saying, I feel like we both were so into the MCU at the time.
Yeah.
You know, back when we were reviewing like Endgame and stuff, like I could not be more excited for the future of the MCU.
Yeah.
And as the years have passed, my attention span has just dwindled for these things.
Yeah.
And I mean, to the point where I'm not seeing all the movies in theaters, and in fact, I'm not seeing all the movies. Period. Because I frankly don't feel like wasting my time anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm not a completely lapsed fan. Like if something comes out and gets really good reviews, or there's a big buzz about it, or like it seems like it's actually consequential to the future of the franchise, I'll give it a watch.
Yeah.
But until then, I really don't care. That's specifically for the MCU. Now, for the DC EU, is that what they're going?
I know.
by
I
now?
think they're
forget.
calling it
DCU,
something else.
The DCU,
The DCEU was the old thing.
right? So I think it's just the DCU now. Is that?
I think it's something else. The DC. Fuck.
whatever it is. The
James Gunn called it something.
the James Gunn cinematic universe.
Yeah. Which includes his dumb wife.
Yeah. God.
She's in everything.
Oh.
I didn't even know that was his wife in Peacemaker.
Yeah.
She's awesome in that.
She's great in it, yeah.
perfectly cast.
Yep.
I think she nails that shit.
Yeah.
You fucking nerds are so
Stupid.
weird, man.
Stupid. Clearly, just looking for something to complain about.
Well, yeah, I mean, they clearly just don't like James Gunn as a person. They don't want him in this universe, and so they're going to use that against him. But it doesn't. I mean, a lot of people pointed out that like Snyder's wife is the executive producer on all his projects. That doesn't.
Sure.
No one cares about that.
Yeah.
There's a ton of producers and I'm sorry. There's a ton of actors that use. Goddamn.
Directors.
Ton of directors that use the same actors in their movies.
Yeah.
Nobody had a problem with that.
Or put themselves in the movies themselves.
Or put themselves in the movie.
Yeah.
And no one has a problem with that. But for some reason, this guy can't put his wife in one thing without it being like, oh, it's because they're fucking. It's like,
Clearly.
it'd be one thing if she was terrible
If she
in it.
sucked, then yeah, we
Yeah.
would have this conversation. But
She's great in it.
yeah.
She does what she's supposed to do. I don't. Yeah. That one I was really like, I didn't know where all that came from, and I was like, I didn't even know that was his wife. Then I found out it was her, and I was like, She was great. I
Yeah.
don't. What are you?
Well, like you said,
complaining
you
about?
didn't even realize. So if you were looking for like, why is she cast in this? This sucks.
Yeah.
And you find out, oh, it's because that's his wife.
Then I think you would have an argument.
Right.
But yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's
But
silly.
from my perspective, the reshaping of the DC universe, whatever it's going to be called officially, has me more excited.
Yeah.
So, genuinely, I am curious to see what this Flash movie does. I after all this wait, after all the controversy, I think I'm more curious about this movie than I am for anything on the slate for the MCU.
I think a lot is hinging on how well this movie does.
Yeah. So, whether I should count that or not, because it's based on more the state of the DC universe and the controversy surrounding it, than actually caring about the storyline.
Oh, I couldn't give two flying fucks about the storyline.
Yeah, I understand if you don't think that should count, but I'm still super interested in seeing where this thing goes and the trajectory that takes this universe. Because I get the feeling a lot is hedging on this.
Yeah. Did you watch the Flash TV show? Was it you who watched it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was you.
Yeah.
Oof, man.
Yeah. I mean, I fell off like everyone else did, but
Yeah.
for a while there, it was really good. Same with Arrow.
Yeah.
Both of those, good TV.
Yeah.
Good TV very early on. I can't recommend it past a certain point, but it turns into like comfort TV. You know.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna say something that people aren't gonna like.
okay.
I never liked the Flash.
Okay.
He runs fast.
Yeah. Well, and that's why they make him OP, because running fast alone isn't enough, right?
Yeah.
So like he has to be able to traverse time and space with that.
But once he can do that, and now mind you, everything that's about to come out of my mouth is the ignorance of someone who doesn't know anything about the Flash.
Sure.
So he can be upset with me about what is about to transpire. But once he's written that way, what's interesting about him? He can run backwards and
I'm the backwards man. Backwards man.
backwards man. He can time travel. He can run so fast. He
He goes
travel.
into different universes.
He can vibrate at a speed that lets him go
Go
through
through walls, through people.
I mean, what can't he do? And at that point, who can stop him?
Well, this is where you got to know about stuff, but there are specifically people out there to stop people who do that sort of traveling through universes, because you're not supposed to, because it can ruin timelines. So there's like almost a specific
Space police?
basically, yeah, a space force, if you will.
Is that what the Speed Force is?
Maybe. But yes, so there for every question there is an answer.
That was like a.
For every question there is an answer. I promise you.
I thought the Speed Force was like a thing that he tapped into. Sort of like the sun for Superman. That like it's like a power that he taps into, or like the Green Lantern. He has to re up on his Green Lanternness with the fucking lantern.
Well, the Speed Force. I just had to look up the actual definition of it. It's like the wormhole he goes through. It's not actual like people.
Okay.
But there is a specific, we'll say, enemy that's out there that if you continue to do that too much, they will catch up with you and stop you.
Catch up with you. 'Cause
Yeah,
you're fast.
exactly. And there are plenty of other speedsters as well that can run crazy fast.
Maybe I should do more research.
Yeah.
This all sounds so silly to me, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like Barry's from another planet. Like, I get that there's more people like Superman because he's from another planet. Is Barry from another planet?
Barry isn't, but
Is Wade from another planet?
there is a lot of the Flash, from what I understand, is not interplanetary but interdimensional. So a lot of the stuff that has to do with it is between
So
dimensions.
he's from a dimension where he can run really fast? Maybe let's just stop. Let's just stop.
Can you read a book? Can you read a book for once?
that's kind of like my whole thing with. Nah, you know what? I'm not gonna do this.
It goes deep. Well, okay. So here's the thing. Here's the deal.
Here's the deal.
Here's the deal. The Flash, I'd say, out of any of the other DC TV shows, has the most heart, and the core of it is really interesting and dramatic and good. Because at its core, and this is the same thing for the Flash movie that's coming out, is that Barry Allen, even though he's a superhero, he's like, most good superheroes, a tragic figure, because his mother was killed when he was very young, and he spent his entire life trying to figure out who killed his mom. Right? His dad was framed for the murder, but it wasn't him. It was somebody that ran real fast and murdered her.
In cold blood?
Yes.
Oh.
And so he gets involved with the police. He tries to figure it out. He gets his powers, his speed. And so thus, this movie is about him going into trying to stop his mother's killer before she gets killed.
Oh.
And in thus doing so, different dimensions,
Chaos ensues.
chaos, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a very interesting story, and that's what I like about it. And I honestly didn't really know much about the Flash before the TV show either. So
I'm tired just from hearing you talk about it.
it's a lot.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
sounds like too much. I don't want to do that.
Okay.
I don't. Still not interested.
Okay. I tried.
Make a Black Flash. Is there a Black?
There
Flash?
is a Black Flash.
See, I don't know shit, dude.
There are plenty of Flashes. Don't worry. Plenty of Flashes.
Okay. Well, I'm not gonna get into any of that. I will, though, probably watch the movie just because, like you said, it is very interesting to see what happens with this Flash movie.
Yeah.
And Ezra Miller, what they do next, or what they're even allowed to do next. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that is partially the reason why I'm more excited for DC right now than I am for the MCU.
Yeah.
So sue me.
So
What about you?
I'll be honest, man. I'm not really exhausted. I just kind of I don't have the same like fiery passion that we had for these movies, but
Yeah.
I'm not like. To me, they just have become like like another part of Hollywood where there's rom-coms get made, horror movies get made, action movies get made, superhero movies get made. It just now, to me, has just become like part of the DNA of Hollywood.
Sure.
And I think that there's a lot of people who still think that superhero movies as a genre is this temporary thing, that they're having a moment, or now we're past the part they wanted, or they thought and wanted it to be a thing where they were just having it.
Right.
Like cinephiles have this idea that like, why are they still making Marvel movies?
Sure.
And it's like, it's
Like they were Westerns or something.
right.
Yeah.
And it's like they make trillions of dollars.
Yeah.
They're
They-
never
they-
going
and
to
they
stop making
continue
these
to.
movies. Yeah.
They continue
will
to.
They will bleed these fucking movies dry.
Well, and the thing is, they're malleable enough to, you can make a Western superhero movie.
Yeah.
You can make a sci-fi superhero movie. You can make a really dark, gritty superhero movie. Like it can be anything you want it to be.
Yeah.
So-
It's just the problem is they've been the same thing for the past like 5 years.
Pretty much.
Which
yeah.
I get that. I get that people are upset about that. I mean,
Yeah.
you watch the new Thor movie and it's like,
I won't.
you still haven't watched it?
No, I haven't.
Really?
I still haven't. No. That's one of those that I'm just like, I've just heard so much like meh about that. I just don't really feel like it.
I mean, even the people involved are like,
Yeah, I know. I'm like, if you don't believe in it, why am I supposed to watch it?
right. True.
So yeah, that's where I'm at.
But I also, I guess I was going to make another point. I guess part of it is not just that these movies, they're exhausting and they come out all the time. It's also that the process of movies is kind of exhausting too. There's so many come out. There's so many ways to watch them. There's so many options. Feels like you're being bombarded with this stuff. You're just like inundated with this shit. And it's just like, that's like a lot of I think that's like, it's like a trauma response as to why every time I go,
No.
that's why I watch the same movies over and over again.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, then you add like, prestige TV to the mix, and it's like, forget
man,
it.
I can't keep up
Got
with this
nothing.
stuff. I need to just bail on it completely.
Right.
All of it.
Then try to fit in video games and, social life.
Oh,
you kidding me?
It's exhausting.
Too much.
It is exhausting.
Too much.
So yeah, I mean, I watch the big movies that get reviewed well, or like the big event ones, like whatever they do at the end of this, like the Conqueror, or the Kang Mysteries, or like the Kang, or whatever they're gonna do with
the Kangarang,
the Kangarang, the Kang sisters, whatever they do with this at the end, I'll be there for that.
Sure.
Apparently, they're putting Jonathan Majors in like everything. He's
they should.
He's going to be the bad guy. Well, there's a rumor that he's going to be the bad guy in the new Moon Knight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So they're just going to have him. Which, that's fucking cool.
That sounds really cool, yeah.
I think the idea of having him be the bad guy in every movie,
and
it's just a different
variation, yeah.
I think that's a really fucking cool idea, and I hope they're able to pull that off.
And a real test for Jonathan Majors.
Yeah.
To be like, you're going to be a different guy, but the same guy.
Yeah.
So figure that out.
Do it 12 times.
Yeah.
So have fun.
Enjoy your paychecks.
Yeah.
Go ahead and retire by the time you're 40. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. All right, I think we've bled this thing dry.
Yeah.
These movies. Yeah. I don't think I got anything else to say on that.
No. No.
Just now I'm just
we're
tired
exhausted.
Of talking about
Yeah,
it.
we're exhausted now.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Anyway,
Yeah.
you think we got it?
I know we got it.
All right, do you have a cheers?
I do have a cheers.
All right, well then you guys know what we got to do before we get out of here, and that's the cheers of the week. So Obi, what do you got for me?
My
man?
cheers of the week. Last week was Rocky. This week, Creed.
All right.
So I feel the need to specifically cheers the Creed franchise because I think it deserves its own sort of accolade, because it is, I think, at least one of the first non-remake revisit to a series that we've had before, a franchise we've had before, in a completely different light, following a different character, involving not a prestige, but like a former character that was the protagonist in this entire franchise. And I think if you haven't seen it in a while, Creed 1 especially is an incredible movie. It is so interesting that how they went about revisiting the Rocky universe, but making the Creed movie all its own and its own like footprint and identifiable traits about it, while still lending enough from Rocky to make it, I guess identifiable as part of the Rocky universe. Like it does such a good job of towing the line between those two, of Rocky and also adding this new flavor to the series itself. And Creed 2 is really good too.
Yeah.
I had forgotten, but I think both of those movies are really good examples of how you can continue a franchise beyond its origins.
Yeah.
And I wish more franchises, instead of doing a remake, would follow this sort of formula and make it about a side character in this story, or a character that wasn't even born yet,
Right.
before the start of the movie, or a character we never knew about that interacts within the same world that brings new life to it. And I'm very excited to see Creed 3. Still haven't seen it, speaking of Jonathan Majors. But yeah, I really like what they've done with this franchise thus far. And it really has no right being as good as it is. But
I mean, it's tough. That's a tough balancing act of like, because even the Rocky movies themselves were victims of too much self-referential stuff, and like after a while they kind of got tired of themselves. It felt like
Sure.
it
Super
kinda felt like
formulaic.
and they kind of lost their way and wasn't really interesting anymore. And so it is fun to see. Like, I haven't seen Creed 2, but I've seen Creed 1, and it is really good. And it was really like an accomplished way of, revisiting that universe without, kicking around all the stuff that made it good in the first place.
Yeah.
Just taking the elements that made it good. So, yeah, so we'll see. Creed 3, getting good reviews, making some money, directed by Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
That's really cool. He got to take over the reins of a franchise. Fucking what? 9 movies in.
Yeah.
You know, that's cool.
Yeah, huge.
All right. Well, in keeping with great performances in older movies and black people
Okay.
in general,
Yeah.
my cheers is going to, a little ditty called Training Day, and more importantly, Denzel Washington. Now, we haven't had like the big talk that I want to have about the Oscars and like gimme Oscars that we've talked about off mic.
Yeah. We do that. We talk off the mic
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, we should probably do this on one reel in,
Okay.
but we can, there's a whole other conversation. But the Cliff Notes is basically, we have a belief, and a lot of people have a belief, that sometimes you give an actor an Oscar when they don't really deserve it for that particular movie, but they deserve it. They have deserved one for years, and so you give it to them just to go, all right, here we go. We've knocked it out, right? Some examples I think are Scorsese winning for The Departed when he should have won for Goodfellas. That is just a criminal offense that deserves death.
Okay. Maybe tone that down.
Maybe not death. Sorry, you're right.
Uh-huh.
But he didn't deserve to win for The Departed.
No.
It's an incredible movie, but it's not his best movie. The fact of the matter is,
A lot of people would even fight you on saying it's incredible. I love it, but a lot of people say it's bad.
Yeah,
Which
true.
I disagree.
I disagree immensely with that. Another good example is Leonardo DiCaprio winning an Oscar for The Revenant. He doesn't even really do anything in that movie.
He fights a bear.
What are you talking about? That's his best acting role? Yeah. Really? Better than The Departed? Better than... Come on, dude. That's half the movie.
Yeah.
It's a ridiculous Oscar win. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I always kind of had the belief that even though I thought Training Day was a great movie and I thought Denzel Washington's performance in Training Day was worthy of an Oscar, I did also think that he deserved to win for Malcolm X. Of course. And he didn't get it because they had to give a gimme to Al Pacino for Scent of a Woman.
Dunkachino.
Dunka. And so with this one, I always kind of felt that it was kind of half a gimme. And I take that back.
Okay.
I walk that back immensely because I rewatched it the other day, and with the explicit notion of like, how good is this performance? And it's so goddamn good.
Yeah.
I couldn't even believe that I thought that it wasn't what it was. It's so multi-layered. It's so visceral. It's so smart. He does so much in this movie that you can't even keep up with. Like, he plays like 3 different guys. He's playing mind games with Ethan Hawke's character. He's playing mind games with literally everyone in the movie. He has this plan. If you haven't seen Training Day, go fuck yourself. I'm not going to do a spoiler alert for Training Day, okay? Watch the movie.
Sure.
Long story short, he owes money to people, and that's the climax of this movie. It's like it's all leading to this thing. Every single thing he does in the movie is manipulating Ethan Hawke's character and manipulating the world around him so that he can save his own neck.
Right.
And he like walks through this movie like bending the world around him, like he's rippling the universe. It's fucking incredible what he does. Every fucking word out of his mouth, and you're just like, I don't know if he's really a corrupt cop or if he's doing this, to see how Jake Hoyt is gonna react, or is he really as bad as he is? Is this what it means to be a good cop in a bad world?
Right.
Like, it's so good.
Yeah.
I was just. It was like 4 a.m, and I was like,
Of course it was. It's the only time you watch movies.
Literally the only time.
Ugh.
So yeah, I Training Day is a great movie, but it is elevated to the stratosphere by Denzel Washington's performance in that movie.
Which doesn't take away from the fact he should have still won for Malcolm X.
Absolutely.
I think
have
that's
3 Oscars.
I think that's why people push for it being a gimme Oscar so much is because he deserved it before.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but no, I think it.
Well, she'd have 3 Oscars. He
Sure,
has
sure.
the Glory, and he should have Malcolm X, and he's got Training Day. Should have 3.
Yeah.
So that's that.
Yep.
All right. We got to review these brewskis before we get out of here.
Let's do it.
All right, then let's do it.
Do it.
Tonight's
Do
brew was from Sullivan's Brewing Company.
Sullivan's.
Their Maltings Irish Ale. Obi, what'd you think of this brewska? This brewska.
It is indeed malty, and it's Irish and red.
Yeah.
Wow!
Wow, look at that.
Wow! No,
Like
it's
you've
really
had
good.
A podcast talking about beer for years.
It is really good. Something that we have often reflected on is beers that really don't go over the top and really just do what they set out to do. And I feel like this is exactly what that is. Is very much just a smooth, malty, Irish red ale. And I can't fault it for any of that. It's very good. It's very, very tasty. I don't often go for red ales, but if I were in the mood, I would go back to this one very easily. I think it deserves a 5. I don't really see any way that it could be much improved. Only things that are particular to my own palate.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think if you're a big fan of the Irish Reds, up your alley.
All right. I am going to give this guy a 5.5.
Wow.
I think for everything that you kind of laid out, the fact of the matter is it does what it says it does.
Mhm.
Right? And that's
Yeah.
what we always talk about on this show. It's
Yep.
like, if you are going to tell me what the tasting notes are supposed to be, and then all I get is fucking grapefruit and hops, then you failed, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
And this is a very simple beer,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the notes are distinct, easily identifiable, and delicious.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can do much better than that. The only reason I don't give it a 6 is because, like, is it on the level of, like, Delirium or St. Bernardus or, these other 6 out of 6s?
Sure.
I don't know. That's
Sure.
tough. Time will tell. Maybe we'll
yeah.
revisit
We can
this
revisit.
and I say, a year from now or 2 years from now that it is a 6 out of 6.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to put it on the same. Is it in the same tier of, like,
Sure.
some of the greatest beers ever made?
I think I have to have more red ales to explore that a bit more.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, how much does it live above, truly good red
Sure.
ales?
I've had a few, decent ones, but none as good as this. I think this is my favorite red ale so far.
Yeah, this is really good. So, a 5 for you, sir, and a 5.5 for me.
Mm-hmm.
You think we got it?
Oh, no, we got it.
Well, then let's get the fuck out of here. This has been the One Beer In podcast for myself, Marco Dupa, and for Adam Obesius Rodriguez.
R.I.P. Lance Reddick.
We didn't even...
Had to throw it in there.
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening. Drink delicious beer and have yourself a beautiful evening.
We love you.